Day 3 of the deduction experiment, and I'm having to film on my phone today as my QuickTime player on my Mac decided to break. I don't know what's going on. Charlie's asleep, so she can't fix it for me. Anyway, the more important thing, Richie Carrigan. Let me explain to everyone exactly what went on. I sent the messages out, and Richie got back with a question: what is the name of my dog? But no photo. So I sent him back a message saying that there was no photo attached. If you do still want me to do or attempt to do the name of the dog, then send me back a picture, but make it something obscure, like a paw or his ear or his nose or something. He sent me back this picture. Yeah, as you can see, it's not a lot to go on. When I do this, I have a lot of things going on in my head normally, because I do it with people in front of me. I'm feeding off the reactions and what I can deduce about them, and I will ask them similar questions to what I emailed Richie back in. I'll explain this in a second. But the things going on in my head normally when I do this for normal people, not that he's not normal, but normal circumstances rather, is I have to think about whether he may have named the dog after anything he's interested in, or likes, dislikes, tastes, hobbies, interests. This can sometimes affect the name of your pet. I also have a 1,200 name database of the most popular names ever stored in my head. Pet name websites do this almost every month. They have a top 100 that differ almost every month, and at the end of every year they'll take a popular list, and that's just simply what I've memorized is the most popular list. It may seem like a lot to go through, but it's just how I think about things. So yeah, if they have reactions to whether they've named their pet after something they're interested in or they like my dog's name's Cookie, and I named him after the fact that he is a chocolate Labrador, and I have an unhealthy fascination with eating cookies. And I think it fitted him. So sometimes people will name their pets based on the way that they look and think, oh, he looks like a this or she looks like a that. So as you can see, there's all these things that I would have to be thinking about when doing this live for somebody in real life. Now, I have a picture of the dog's ear, and I asked Richie if he would be okay with me asking 2 simple yes or no questions. He's only to answer yes or no and give no detail about this at all. And I asked him whether he named the pet after any hobbies or interests. He said no. And I asked whether the dog's name was a 2-syllable name. He said no. This is all the information I had to go on. Now, as I'm filming on my phone, what I'm going to have to do when Charlie edits this is to get a screenshot of the app I have that stores thousands of pet breeds. And this is the app I use to go through the information. This is the app I use to store all the palace information I have on dog breeds. And the first animals that popped into my head when I saw the pet's ear was clearly it was quite a big doggy. Clearly well looked after. You could tell by the fur and the maintenance and the size of the ear that it was in a happy and healthy and loving home. Clearly a nurturing man who loves his dog. Or well, the family as well, whoever is involved in the maintenance and care of this dog. So, but the first thing I thought about is based on the hair length and the way it points out is it would be either a Japanese Akita or a Malamute, something along this line of maybe a cross. I don't know. And I had a look at the pictures of the breeds that came up on this breed guide, and it was a pretty close match. So I'm going to go that the dog breed, based on the ear and the way that the hair is, that it's either a Japanese Akita or a Malamute or some close relation of this pet breed. I would openly and honestly, completely, just flat out guess, because I'm going to commit to it, I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be wrong, that it would be a boy. Statistically, this is the most likely choice. There are a lot more boy dogs than girl dogs in households. It's just simple statistics, and that's all I'm basing that on. Nothing else other than a guess, because I don't have a lot of other visual things to go on. But the name, now let me tell you what my thinking along the name. If he didn't name it after any hobbies or interests, then that would most likely point to somebody who named the animal after what the animal would look like, whether he well, I'm saying a he, so whether he looked like a such and such a name, or whether he looked like a such and such a name. Now, as I'm sticking to these breeds, and as I know that it's not a two-syllable name, this cuts it down drastically, because though there are 1,200 names I have in my database, there's only, I think at last count I went through, there's only 53 names that are 3 syllables, and there's like 162, 163 single syllable names. The rest are in the 2 to 4 syllables. And I'm not accounting for anybody that calls their dog like, or cat, the pet names like Mr. Fluffy Winkles the Third, them kind of daft names. I'm not accounting for them, because I just don't think that Richie would be the type of person to do that. So what I did was I looked at the history of the Japanese Akita breed to get a feel for what sort of names have been the most popular in there. Now, these are the sort of names that translate into different meanings, names that have meanings of particular to the heritage. And I came down to a choice of 3. One is quite a popular choice because it featured in the film Lost Boys, but then that also can't be used because it's a 2-syllable name, so that was Nanook. There was only 2 others, and it was either Kai or Kaidala. Now, they are loose translations of Little Dragon or Little Dragon Warrior. Nothing to do with Kung Fu Panda. But everything else in that list just doesn't compute with the small restrictions I'd set myself based on the deductions I made. If you can call them the deductions, I had a little profile picture that came up in the email that Richie sent, which again wasn't a lot to go on. It's a picture about this size of him and what appears to be his wife or his partner or his girlfriend, and that led me to the idea that it would be a strong name. That led me to the idea that it would be it might be something to do in this kind of field, which is why I went to the Japanese Akita website. So yeah, I'm going to go with either Kai or Kaidala, something like this. I don't feel confident enough to commit to either one, because it would purely and genuinely just be a guess, and I said right from the beginning that I'm going to be as accurate as I possibly can. Yeah, in the the guess about the sex of the dog. I have ideas and thoughts behind it, but to go for either Kai or Kai de Law would just be a free guess. I'd be basing it on nothing. So I'm committing to those two out of all the thousands of names. This by far has been the most difficult question I've been faced with, because I've never gone for this without having a person in front of me to look at. So I hope he gets back to me soon, because I want to know how embarrassingly I have failed. See you tomorrow.